I want to talk about The Bad Batch. A new episode is out tomorrow on Disney Plus. They released the first one in a different time on Tuesday because of May the 4th, and now The Bad Batch will air every Friday until it's done, and I'm very excited about The Bad Batch, so I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. So, at the end of The Bad Batch premiere, we got a little tease of where The Bad Batch is heading next on their adventures. So they're kicking off their adventure here after essentially fleeing the Empire and fleeing Crosshair, who is now after them, and they said they're going to go and head towards J19, and they said, I believe they said they had a friend there. And so what is J19 in Star Wars The Bad Batch? Now we're jumping back into a storyline that we haven't seen in a long time now from Star Wars, and more importantly the Clone Wars, because the Clone Wars touch on this storyline that I believe we're going to see here in The Bad Batch, and it only makes sense that they would go to this one guy. So after suffering a major blow in the series premiere of the Star Wars The Bad Batch, the remaining members of Clone Force 99 and Omega escape Kamino and head off into space. They're now on the run with no access to resources and a short list of contacts to rely on for help. Hunter quickly comes up with a solution and tells Tech to plot a course for J19. But what is J19? Who's this individual Hunter has in mind? So J19 is something we visited earlier in the Clone Wars series, so it's seasons back now. Earlier in the Clone Wars, General Grievous and Separatist forces captured Jedi Master Eth Koth, and Grievous intrigues. So during a transmission, Koth secretly communicates with hand signals, tipping off the Jedi Council in the process. In the follow-up episode, The Deserter, Rex leads a search party on Salukami to find Grievous. Commando droids interrupt their efforts by shooting Rex in the chest, forcing him and his group to find a new place to lie low. They find shelter in a farmer's barn, but Rex eventually discovers the farmer is also a clone. So Lawquane left the Grand Army of the Republic during the first battle of Geonosis and found his way to Salukami. I hope I'm saying that right. And created a family and an ordinary life for himself. Rex calls him a deserter, but Cut says, "I like to think I'm merely exercising my freedom to choose not to kill for a living." So, if you guys don't know, earlier in the Clone Wars, I believe before they even changed the designs, it's probably like midway maybe. I don't exactly remember which season it was, but this is the episode where Rex essentially was injured badly, and his entire crew that he was with had to lie low while Rex had to get better, and they ended up running into a clone who had settled down and, essentially abandoned the Clone Wars, and that's why Rex had called him a deserter, and he was not happy with him. But later in the end of the episode, he learns to understand his whole reasoning behind leaving the Clone Wars. He's got his whole family to protect now, and, they come to an agreement in the end of the episode. So Lawquane should still be out there and with his family. Now, what I'm curious about is, did he execute Order 66? There's no Jedi around him, so I wonder how he is now thinking about the whole war and the Jedi after that happens, because one would assume he still has his chip inside. There's nothing inside of him, or there's nothing that happened to him that would presumably defect his chip, like the Bad Batch. So I would assume he is against the Jedi now, but I guess it doesn't really matter because he's not near Jedi and he's not near the war anymore, so he's with his own family. And maybe it changes his whole perspective on the Clone Wars. But this is the guy that I think we are going to see in the next episode of The Bad Batch. We could be wrong. We could see Rex as well, because we do know Rex is coming in the upcoming episodes of The Bad Batch. So we will see Rex, but I feel like we're going to run into this guy first because he is a clone. I mean, this whole show focuses on clones pretty much, at least so far. And, it would only make sense to go and check up on this guy again, because I think it'd be a pretty interesting storyline. But I'm sure his kids will be all grown. It's years since we've seen this episode, and probably years since in the timeline since we've seen this guy. So I'm very curious to see where he's at and what he's up to in his life, because the whole galaxy has changed now, and I just think it'd be a very cool storyline. So I think that's what we're going to see in the next episode of The Bad Batch. The Bad Batch is going to jump down now to normal length episodes instead of like the 70-minute premiere that we got for The Bad Batch. So we're going to jump into normal length episodes like the Clone Wars had and all the other animated shows pretty much have had. But I'm very excited for the next episode of The Bad Batch. I think this is what we're going to see, and I'm quite excited.